the people who did all the other things and facilitated the commission of these crimes. The prosecutor and her office and all her staff are committed to ensuring that this process leads to its natural end. The prosecutor is bound or is intended to ensure that accountability for the suffering of the Rohingya people is met, and that those who are responsible for the atrocities that happened there are brought to account. That is the commitment from the office of the prosecutor, and that is the commitment of her staff, and that is what we are going to be striving for.
The visit came after judges last year ruled that even though Myanmar has not signed up to the Hague-based ICC, the court still has jurisdiction over crimes against the Rohingya because Bangladesh is a member. Dhaka's former ministry said last month Organization of Islamic Cooperation, of which Bangladesh is a member, in a meeting in Abu Dhabi unanimously adopted a resolution to move at the International Court of Criminal Justice for establishing the legal rights of the Rohingya and addressing the question of accountability and justice. Myanmar's army has denied nearly all wrongdoing, insisting its campaign was justified to root out Rohingya insurgents who staged deadly raids on border posts in August 2017. Cadre Desiree Ouedraogo, president of the Economic Community of West African States Electoral Observation Commission in Guinea-Bissau, praises the exemplary behavior of political parties and candidates. Guinea-Bissau voted Sunday in legislative elections in what is hoped will end a protracted leadership deadlock in a country renowned for drug trafficking and instability.
Les partis politiques et les candidats se sont comportés d'une manière exemplaire, respectant ainsi les textes et lois régissant les élections, ainsi que le code de bonne conduite et d'éthique adopté par eux le 14 février 2019. Le chef de mission, après avoir recueilli les préoccupations des partis politiques en lice, a lancé un appel aux acteurs politiques à maintenir un environnement apaisé durant tout le processus électoral. Il a par ailleurs exhorté les Bissau-Guinéens à sortir massivement pour exercer leur droit de vote dans le calme et la sérénité.
Polls closed at 1700 GMT and voting passed off without incident, with Cadre Desiree Ouedraogo, head of the ECOWAS observation mission, noting calm and discipline on the part of voters and a strong turnout. The one-time Marxist ruling party, PAIGC, which has run the poor West African state of 2 million for almost 45 years, since winning independence from Portugal, fielded candidates along with 20 opposition parties. Among them were the main opposition party of Social Renewal and the Movement for Democratic Change, Madam G15, made up of dissidents from the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, PAIGC. The latest crisis arose in August 2015 when President José Mario Vaz, elected a year earlier, sacked his Prime Minister, Domingos Simones Pereira, who was head of PAIGC after a falling out. The country's instability has attracted drug traffickers, with senior government and military officials implicated in the trade. The UN has praised progress in the fight against drugs under Vaz, but in a remainder of the scale of the trade of the informal economy, authorities seized Sunday nearly 1,700 pounds of cocaine, the biggest drug haul in more than a decade. Vaz said he was happy to see the vote going ahead. He has appointed a series of prime ministers, but none garnered sufficient support to achieve a parliamentary majority. Finally, in April of 2018, the Economic Community for West African States, or ECOWAS, brokered an agreement leading to the designation of a consensus prime minister, Aristide Gomez, and the resumption of work by the 102-seat parliament. Gomez was given the caretaker task of preparing a parliamentary poll in which 36% of the candidates must be women for the first time. Venezuela's authorities allow school students and patients requiring treatment to cross the border from Venezuela into Colombia after the border bridge was closed several weeks ago, forcing Venezuelans to use illegal country paths to get to school or access to much-needed food and medicine.
Para nosotros es importante que se haya abierto de nuevo este corredor humanitario porque nosotros dependemos de Colombia para el estudio, para comida, los niños ya tantos días sin poder ir a clase y los más contentos pues son ellos.
Los hospitales no tienen nada de servicio. Andan las enfermeras para allí, para acá, por los pasillos, pero no hay nada. No hay atención médica. No hay nada. Todo el mundo está pasando por el río, por la trocha, como se pueda, que los atiendan acá.
Que sea abierta porque la necesitamos todo el mundo, los estudiantes y nosotros los enfermos. Pues llegamos a pasar por el río, entonces arriesgamos la vida.
Coming up, the United Nations flag is at half-mast for a staff member killed in a plane crash in Ethiopia. U.S. envoy says the country opposes incremental denuclearization of North Korea. Sarah Sanders on China, North Korea, and President Trump's budget proposal. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will be right back.
One of the most famous landmarks here in Stavanger, Norway. And if you want to see more of the tourist spots like this, just tune into Digital Net every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. I'm managing media from Stavanger, Norway. Always fun with 25.
Know the latest news and information here and abroad. In Aguila, Balita, track the latest happenings in the provinces in Aguila, Provincia. Be aware of important events in Asia, in ASEAN in Focus, and be updated in the biggest news around the world in Eagle News International. Tune into Mata ng Aguila and get the day's headlines and news that are sharp, accurate, and objective. Only here at Net 25.
Pep News, Linggo, alas 4 hanggang alas 5 ng hapon.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. The United Nations flag at the UN headquarters in New York is flown at half-mast in honor of the staff members who perished when an airplane crashed Sunday in Ethiopia. A World Forum on Addressing the Planet's Environmental Crisis opened in Nairobi on Monday, the mood darkened by the Ethiopian Airlines tragedy that killed 157 people a day earlier, including at least 22 UN staff, many headed for the event. Delegates arrived at the sprawling compound to see the UN flag flying at half-mast and the usually colorful display of national flags removed. As they wondered aloud who among their colleagues might have been on board the ill-fated Boeing, some hugged and comforted one another. According to Maimuna Sharif, head of UN Habitat, at least 22 UN employees were among those who died when the Nairobi-bound Ethiopian Airlines jet crashed early Sunday, just 6 minutes after takeoff from Addis Ababa. She told delegates, quote, "I stand before you on the first day of the UN Environment Assembly, which has officially commenced today in the wake of this tragedy. We will not forget this tragedy nor those who perished. Let us reflect that our colleagues were willing to travel and to work far from their homes and loved ones to make the world a better place to live," unquote. Kicking off a somber opening plenary, UN Environment Assembly President and Estonian Environment Minister Siim Kiisler asked delegates, many dressed in black and some in tears, to observe a minute of silence. Among the UN's employees on the downed Ethiopian flight were some who worked for the World Food Program, or the WFP, the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, the International Organization for Migration, or IOM, and the Food Agriculture Organization, or FAO. It is the second time in less than 5 years that delegates have died in a plane disaster on their way to a major global conference. In July of 2014, a Malaysia's airline Boeing 777 passenger jet, flight MH17, was shot down over eastern Ukraine en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur, killing all 298 on board, most of them Dutch citizens. Among the victims were 6 delegates to the 20th International AIDS Conference in Melbourne, including top Dutch expert Joop Lang. A top U.S. envoy said Monday Washington's goal is the complete denuclearization of North Korea by the end of Donald Trump's first term, insisting it will not settle for incremental disarmament.
We are not going to do denuclearization incrementally. The president has been clear on that, and that is a position around which the U.S. government has complete unity. Our goal, our objective is the final fully verified denuclearization of North Korea.
While stressing he was not bound by an artificial calendar, Bagan said the administration wanted to accomplish the complete and verified denuclearization of North Korea by the end of Trump's term in January of 2021.
He challenged Chairman Kim to go big, to buy into the vision, to do this together with us. I know the North Koreans found that difficult to accept. Obviously, we didn't get to a point at the summit in Hanoi where we could reach an agreement on that broad framework.
The U.S. side has included North Korea's chemical and biological weapons in the negotiation with Pyongyang. The envoy said there could be no comprehensive agreement with North Korea without agreement on each point, adding that there was complete unity in the administration on that approach. Speaking at a conference organized by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Bagan said progress had been made, despite failure of Trump's second summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, held in Hanoi last month.
The door is open to diplomacy. We want a very different future for the United States and North Korea on the Korean Peninsula, and the President is 100% supportive of us remaining engaged diplomatically to try to achieve that goal. The gap is still just a little bit too large for us to get there today. It's a very different system. It's driven by the top down, and that's why I'm such an enthusiastic supporter of the way the President has approached this. We have tried for 25 years to percolate positions up from the working level to the leadership level with no success. President Trump, in engaging Chairman Kim, has engaged the real decision maker.
The White House said Monday a possible summit between President Donald Trump and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping remains up in the air as negotiators try to resolve the two massive economies' trade dispute. Trump has previously expressed optimism that he will meet with Xi, probably at his Florida club in Mar-a-Lago this month, to finalize an eventual trade deal. But Trump spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said it was too early to announce a meeting.
In terms of whether or not we have a date set, not yet. We're continuing in negotiations with China. When we have an announcement for the two leaders to sit down, we'll certainly let you know.
The press secretary also said she was unaware of any plan for Xi and Trump to speak by phone. China and the United States have been locked in a trade war since last year, imposing tit-for-tat tariffs on more than $360 billion worth of mutual trade, spooking global markets. Top-level negotiators are trying to hammer out an agreement before a truce expires, potentially triggering additional U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods. Sanders said Trump would not agree to anything short of a deal beneficial to the United States. She denied that the breakdown of Trump's attempts to negotiate with North Korea over the country's nuclear weapons have weakened his standing in Beijing.
I would say that it's absurd. The president's going to make a deal if it's a good deal. He's going to make a deal if it's in the best interest of America. And if he doesn't feel like it's a good deal, it's not worth just signing a piece of paper. And the president didn't feel like what was on the table was enough. The president's 100% committed to denuclearization of the peninsula, and he's going to make sure that whatever we do furthers that process.
When we come back, the Philippine Consulate in New York celebrates distinguished Filipino women. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return shortly.
Abangan ngayong linggo sa Season 2 ng Young Ones, Upon a Time. Live.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
This is Eagle News, Washington, D.C., and I am Jennifer Polantan. In celebration of International Women's Day, the Philippine Consulate in New York once again hosted an evening in celebration of distinguished Filipino women. Our New York Bureau Chief, Joanne Blanco, with the story.
On this occasion of International Women's Day, the Philippine Consulate General in New York has put together a panel of distinguished Filipino women, hailing from different backgrounds and areas of expertise. Heidi Mendoza's career in government spans 20 years, primarily in audit and anti-corruption. As a public servant and as a mother, she spoke from personal experience on the different roles and difficult choices women must make.
I stand here today not as the first Filipino to be appointed as the Undersecretary General at the United Nations. I am standing here today wearing many faces as I recall the many roles I played in my life. Do I consider myself as a successful woman? If ever I do, I would rather see myself as a successful mother. I would rather have that my accomplishments be measured by the achievements of my children. Unfortunately, I think I may have failed because most of the time I spent a lot dreaming for a country that deserves all the love and respect of its citizens. I spent more than half of my life fighting against the corrupt and the weak politicians of the country. I spent more than half of my life trying to convince everyone in the world that the Filipinos deserve a better place in this world.
Major Jessica Persad had these words of advice to empower women in the workplace in helping them move forward to leadership positions.
The first piece of advice, and I'll go ahead and put them all out there, is to take care of yourself. That's the first thing I have to say. To put yourself first, to know that you can't make anybody happy if you can't make yourself happy. And you can't take care of anybody if you can't take care of yourself first. But if you put yourself first, everything will fall into place. The next thing is take care of your people. Listen to what they have to say. Yes, they work under you, but you need them to be part of your team. If you invest in them, I promise you, they will bring back whatever you need tenfold. The last thing I want to share is to take a seat. And what I mean by that is don't sit down, don't relax, but come Monday morning, women and men, come Monday morning when you're going to work, and there's that morning meeting, that morning Monday meeting we all dread. When you walk in there and you see the table, instead of just kind of waiting for everybody to come in the room and fill and take a seat and you're sitting against the wall, get in there and take that seat. If you're in there and you're in the room, then you deserve a seat. Sit down, be ready, and be prepared. You might not know what's going on in the meeting or what's happening, but your presence there will exude confidence. It'll show that you're there to play, and ultimately you will win.
Erin Robles moved to New York to follow her passion in art and design and fulfill her dream of becoming an interior designer. She began documenting her food adventures when Instagram was fairly new, and now her page has over 70,000 followers.
I have a message, especially for my fellow young Filipina generation. Don't doubt yourself, and don't discount your achievements because you don't think you meet a certain criteria for success. Many times at work meetings, until today, I question if people take me seriously. Sometimes I'm the youngest, I'm the only female, I'm Asian. Sometimes I'm the youngest female and Asian in the meeting room. And no matter how well I'm doing, sometimes I still feel inferior, and I really shouldn't. The truth is, if you work hard on something, in whatever field or aspect of life, just be proud of it and own it. So now, instead of asking myself, why me? I say, why not?
Consul Armand Talbo spoke to EBC on why it is important to recognize the achievements of women during events like this.
There are so many women, Filipino-American women, who have achieved so much here in the U.S. And it's important for us to hear their story and to inspire the younger generation and to prove to the world that we have arrived.
Reporting from the Philippine Center in New York, this is Joanne Blanco Soriano, 1 with 25.
Thanks, Joanne. That is today's Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Join us tomorrow for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at Eaglenews.PH and EagleNewsLive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Twitter.com/EagleNewsPH. Thank you for watching. I am Jennifer Polantan, and I am 1 with 25.
Hey guys, I'm Malachi Kent. I'm with the Florida Bureau, and I'm here at the Kent Farm in Molina, Florida. This is my grandparents' farm.
Farms are a kind of sustainable living, meaning you can basically live off-grid. There are many different types of farms. Let's take a look at my grandparents' farm, an animal farm.
Did you know emus are the second largest bird in the world? Let's go see what these massive birds are all about. Emus are originally from Australia, and they're the second cousin to the ostrich. So if you ever want to talk to them, you gotta tell White Ace. So emus, they can run up to 30 miles an hour. They're like super fast. They can live up to 35 years in captivity. They have doubled eyelids. One is for the dust when they're running. The other one's just for blinking. And they're really good swimmers. So now, just like every farm we have, we got chickens.
Organic eggs aren't just white and brown like you see at the store. Sometimes they come in pastel colors.
Let's see. We got one right now. It's like a green, it's like a light green, like a faded, milky kind of green. And these are bees, beehives. Made them ourselves. This is how you catch a lamb.
Sometimes we catch lambs to examine them to make sure they're healthy. Once they are mature, we sell them off at an auction.
Alright guys, we got a lamb. I'm tired. This guy's breathing hard too. Hey guys, I'm Malachi Kent. Thanks for watching. Me and this lamb, we're 1 with 25. Now we're gonna send the lamb back to its pack. Go! Go!
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave some love by giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe here at ABC Digital Nest so you don't miss any of our upcoming features.
At Iloilo Football Club panalo kontra Home United ng Singapore sa AFC Cup 2019.